Everybody need to hear this. You don't speak Hebrew, that shit. How the fuck you tell us anti-Semitic? We the Israelites, blacks, native Hispanics. The Germans get locked up for the Holocaust in the Holocaust. 100 million of us died in the transatlantic. 6 million died. Y'all want the world to never forget it. You can never be a Jew. You are Ashkenaz. This ain't a star dumb that would die. Yeah, Easy told the truth and got ostracized. Not one person in the Bible had on the Yahwehs in America like we was in Egypt. Y'all don't even fit the curses in the Torah. Or neither. Y'all was blind to the truth, clear. How Jerusalem, your land, your people came from Europe. That was 1947, your menorah got 9 sticks. It's really only 7. Yeah, it's us against the world. Armageddon. This what happened when you inherit lies, ancestors. Y'all the synagogue of Satan with them black hats. Your whole nation sitting ducks. Aflacs, thieves and culture vultures ain't nothing kosher. To tell the truth, you vagabonds don't have a coach. Macedonia, Alexander and Philip, you a convert, so tell me, fuck is you Israel? That don't make you the people just cause you live there. Why my people can't like y'all hate Hitler? All the prophets was black and was called nigga. Y'all don't even fit the description that's in the script. All the way down to Jacob, we the real Jews. Y'all don't study Christ, y'all follow the Talmud. Keep it real, yeah, let's keep it real. Cold hard truth, it give you chills. Say y'all Jewish cause y'all ain't really them. About to do them like Hammond, this the feast of Purim. UPK undefeated, this an easy win. Born fighting, y'all the evil twin. Jacob took hold of his heel, then out came his little red bastard and kosher deals. It's only 12 tribes, y'all trying to make it 13. Esau despised his birthright, the Lord cursed him. He ain't the devil who is, I'm still ask your rabbi why he give them babies herpes. I don't know what's worse, that or you claiming that beat. I'm about to cancel, everybody's trying to cancel ye. I ain't afraid to speak, that's what I do. They riding to the core, I'm just judging them by their fruit. Cause they ain't suffering curses. If I was carnal, I promise I'd punch you in person. I know it's an uncomfortable subject. They making millions off our culture and black people suffering from it. Yeah, they don't believe in Christ. They the Antichrist. Make for niggas, they a parasite. I ain't afraid to tell the truth. Niggas terrified. I'm about the DEFCON 4. I ain't satisfied.
That is absolute proof that they know are the real Jews. Absolute proof. Like if you got the records, go find me a white Jew on any archaeology in Egypt anywhere. Never find a piece of archaeology with white people as slaves in Egypt. So don't tell me that they were slaves and it's their identity. Ain't no. The Lord knows the blasphemy of you so-called white people that say you are Jews and you are not. You are not the people of the Lord. You are not God's people. God's chosen people are living in the ghettos of America. God's chosen people are in poverty, depression in the streets of America. God's chosen people around in America with no identity. That's where God's chosen people are.
I got you. It's time to vote God. My God, a real nigga. Cause he wasn't posted on the corner like a watchdog. Family secure, got their blinded by the mob ball. Fuck what they heard, but tell them it's all true. Because it's that fault that you fall through. They gon' fall. Look, I keep this shit 50 times 2 times. Ain't no more hardness to you. James told it this way above Spears taste. He told him make me an apple tree. Left alley flip bones. This is why hope fail. Child man, dark sands get broke down. I do never to my mom. Telling me how to crackers turn this child into a ghost town. I lay that game down. I feel his pain cause nothing is the same now. Never like shine like heaven's cloud. Glock have a fit like my child, no bench. Try to warn them niggas we bear arms like a ranch. Your mother did my make anthems. I'm really seeing prophets under this banner. Bring my end down on camera. Told my dad I wanted black and white like a pan. Better than that nigga that sunk dirty did Diana. Look, I'm more silly, precious cargo, variation, but I got a no Mississippi auto. Wave that bitch around like where's Wardo. Leave if they won't, I cut through they things like I'm Zorro. Maybe for his name, so I gotta keep that steel clutch. Trust me, I'm not what you think. I squeeze till it click like you when the heel touch. The world got me dumb, I don't feel much. Round me, down, just to stay free. Looking for a bitch. Better than baby, yeah. Remember why it's gone? I've been gone ever since. Still in the field, fuck them niggas on the fence, yeah.
They did the same thing to my people. You said that they put millions of my should a murderer go to jail for murdering? Absolutely. Should a thief go to jail when he steals? Absolutely. Should a robber pay back the money? Absolutely. So why shouldn't the white man? That's right. You'll see just how it feels. Payback is a no. Payback is a no. I'm in a hell of a hole, was never into the grow. Just obstacles in the road, that's my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's whatever the white man's the devil is known. America was never a home, only a place of activity, same facility, hate, disfigured me. The claim that I'm lazy became maybe the slavery draining my energy. 100 years and there's countless. In fact, the here is astounding, but this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king, the angel be ready to rap. Cracking the sky, nuclear missile, make it official. I'm capturing every crack and surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be. Slavery for me, and let the whole with them in the cages, they go in the streets. Put the dog on, get resolved for the beast. 144, get the bullet show, we can all be a beast. And so as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now. You'll see just how it feels. Payback is a no. Payback is a no.
Look, ain't no remorse in my blood cell. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next I got back gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots on farewell. Praying payback back around like a carousel. Still remember your honest words ringing in my head like bells. Send you his body, you fit the Lord. Fuck the content, triangle choke. Apply pressure to the game like I did Vondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress. She a bombshell, this dish served cold. I just hope they make it oxtail. Glock fresh out the box where it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in the world of man shooters. There was design path where I babies the past steward. And damn, my king's reign, I'll be overzealous. They want my jealous, I want brand new pair of belts.
You'll see just how it feels. Payback is a no. Payback is a no.
The ISUPK under Commander General Yohana started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. This is the ISUPK Kentucky Monday Night History class. I am Priest and Officer Zabak Yasharala. Tonight, I'm going to be touching on the topic, the history of Juneteenth. And I will be giving you scriptures along with breakdown. Juneteenth. It's a heavy topic to some that don't really know what it is. But Juneteenth is, me personally, it's a scam set aside from lies that have been told to us, talking about we have been freed, but they just, how can I say this? They just shift change slavery. They moved it from one form of fashion to another. That's when you really know the breakdown of like the emancipation, Salaka Israel, the Emancipation Proclamation that was brought about by Abraham Lincoln. So, a lot of people think that Abraham Lincoln was in favor of freeing us so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. But I ain't never known the oppressor to be in favor of God's chosen people. Look at what's going on today. They still have us in bondage. They still don't want to let us go. So Abraham Lincoln wasn't in favor of letting us go. People just get misconstrued on how deep this rabbit hole go when it comes to slavery, when it comes to talking about slavery, when it comes to the things that is of slavery. But I'm going to touch more on this. I'm going to just read some articles right now. That's going into this Juneteenth. And like I said, I'm gonna share some light. I'm gonna share some light on this Juneteenth. I'm gonna talk about some history, the meaning, flag, important facts, things of that nature. Because other people, we think that we really know about Juneteenth, and we really don't. We really have to do the research, because we take on celebrating things we don't even know. Let me say it like this. Celebrating Juneteenth is no different than you celebrating Memorial Day or you celebrating the 4th of July. A lot of people celebrate the 4th and think that the 4th of July is for us. And when I say us, I mean God's chosen people. I mean the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native American, man, woman, and child. Because when you look at the 4th of July, when they was writing their Declaration of Independence, they still was bringing us over on slave ships. They still had us in slavery. So, celebrating Juneteenth, a lot of people think that that really carries weight. It really don't, because that really didn't free us. Not every slave upon the face of America was freed, and it wasn't. But I'm going to jump off into this. Read some of this article. It say Juneteenth, official name of federal holiday. Juneteenth, National Independence Day, also called a Maxim. Salakia. Emancipation Day, Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, Black Independence Day, and Juneteenth, Independence Day. A holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the United States, observed annually on June 19th. In 1863, during the American Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared more than 3 million slaves living in the Confederate States to be free. More than 2 years were passed before the news reached African Americans living in Texas. Wow, why it took so long? It was not until Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas on June 19, 1865, that the state's residents finally learned that slavery had been abolished. The former slaves immediately began to celebrate with prayer, feasting, song, and dance. The following year, on June 19th, the first official Juneteenth celebration took place in Texas. The original observance included prayer meetings and the singing of spiritual, and celebrants wore new clothes as a way of representing their newfound freedom. Within a few years, African Americans in other states were celebrating the day as well, making it an annual tradition. Celebration have continued across the United States into the 21st century and typically included prayer and religious services, speeches, educational events, family gatherings, and picnics and festivals with music, food, and dancing. Juneteenth became a state holiday in Texas in 1980, and a number of other states subsequently followed suit. In 2021, Juneteenth was made a federal holiday. The day is also celebrated outside the United States, being used by organizations in a number of countries to recognize the end of slavery and to honor the culture and achievements of African Americans. I'm going to kind of touch bases on what it says about it says in 2021, Juneteenth was made a federal holiday. The day it also celebrated outside the United States, being used by organizations in a number of countries to recognize the end of slavery and to honor the culture and achievements of African Americans. I'm gonna say this. Back in, I think it was about this when I was in the world. I knew of us. I knew of, when I say us, I knew of the ISUPK. I used to see us on the street corners in New York. I mean, it was just something about ISUPK that I would stop. But it say the Most High said, a man's going of him, how can he then know his own way? Meaning that it was the Most High that had me to stop. But this is my point. I was incarcerated out here, and a dude asked me, we were just talking in general one day, he was talking about, he said Juneteenth. So it kind of threw me off because I never heard of Juneteenth. I never heard of it. And he went on to say this. He said, like, yeah, he said, out here we call it nigger day. So I'm like, what? I looked at him. I said, every day is nigga day. If you, I'm like, he was like, no. He said, that's the day that slaves were free. So I looked at him. I say, where you? I say, now mind you, we incarcerated. And I just looked at him. I say, listen, man. I say, we the people, we were free. I say, there wouldn't be no more penitentiaries. You wouldn't have no more chain gangs. I say, we as a people, we not free, man. I say, we are not free. I said, come on, take a look, man. I said, me and you, we would have never met like this. But from, I'm going to say from that day on, that just kind of like stuck with me. It's kind of like stuck with me because even though I always said to myself, I could never see our oppressor saying, you free to go. Because even if you free to go, and I remember watching like Roots and other slave movies and all that, and when they was like, they was letting so-called black people go, you still would have to depend on these people for not so much as everything, but just a little bit, just a little bit. We are self-sufficient people to the point that we don't need these people. We don't need these people for nothing. But they will make it so that we will have to depend on them because they would take away our resources. They would take things because we are a people that we know how to thrive. We know how to get our own. We know how to come up with it under any circumstances. Under any circumstances. But that just like threw me for a loop when me and him we was talking about that time. But I'm gonna jump into another article because it was said that Abraham Lincoln, he was the one that freed the slaves. And I remember General Yohana about this. And he had a powerful article. Where it was stated that Abraham Lincoln did not free the slaves. He did not free the slaves. And that just set heavy on my spirit because, I say the same thing. Even when I wasn't in the troop, I said, I can't see a so-called white man letting a slave go. I no. Because you is dealing with the devil that the Bible speaks of. And there's no way this man gonna let you go. Just like that. No. No. Bad enough. When they incarcerate you, they don't want to let you go. They don't want to let you go. Even if they find you, even if you be found innocent, they still don't want to let you go. So I just couldn't get that. But I have another article talks about this is the title of it. It said Lincoln gets way too much credit for freeing enslaved black people. And I I have always said that before I even came into this truth, before I even came into the ISUPK and the Commander General Hunter. But a historian said that black people were not given freedom; they forced it. It said Abraham Lincoln did not the enslaved. It said the enslaved freed themselves. For decades, historians have argued for the agency of black Americans in securing their own liberation during the Civil War. But time and time again, Lincoln is touted by his most well-known monikers, the great emancipator or savior of the Union. His entire presidential legacy is often summarized in an easy one-liner: Lincoln freed the slaves. Lincoln is perhaps one of the few presidents who require revisiting this Juneteenth. I'm honored to revisit Lincoln's personal and political legacy, particularly focusing on how he faced the deadliest and most consequential war in U.S. history. Equally important, it emphasizes the role of Black leaders, abolitionists, and political activists who convinced Lincoln to transform the nation. Their voices and contributions to emancipation and equality have renaissance today. I'm always hopeful for an era of nuance, a moment in which Americans can hold the complexities of people in full view. Lincoln remains complicated and inconsistent. He was for restoring the Union at all costs, even if that meant preserving the institution of slavery. Yeah, because by him wanting at all costs, yeah, why, he would preserve the institution of slavery. Yeah, he would keep us bound, but set aside from, even if it wasn't no war, even if it wasn't or nothing like that, I still don't see him freeing us as a people. In his first inaugural address, he spoke in support of the Fugitive Slave Law, a provision that allows slaveholders to retrieve their human property. That right there alone lets you know that he was not in favor of freeing slaves. This man was upholding fugitive slave law. Lincoln proposed compensation for slaveholders and deportation of colonization for African Americans. While he was anti-slavery, he was not an abolitionist. So like Israel, these words are like tongue twisters. And he did not believe in equality of the races. He didn't believe in equality for the races. Different than today. These people think that they are above so-called blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indians. When God said in Deuteronomy 7:6, he put us above all people that are on the earth. And to back that up, you got Deuteronomy 10:15. You got 1 Chronicles 6:13. 16:13, Salaki, 16:13. So, but these people think that we are beneath them when y'all are beneath us. Even the Most High said in his own words that, these other nations are nothing. They are like a drop of a bucket. So y'all are nothing. But guess who came along and want to try to make us equal to these people? MLK. Making us flawed. But he was also willing to reflect, pivot, and listen. I appreciate Lincoln the most for his willingness to understand and eventually act upon the encouragement of Black leaders and their white allies to extend freedom, citizenship, and voting rights to African Americans. History reveals that people, particularly those with the least access to power, politically or economically, can and should hold elect officials accountable. In America, slavery died a painful death on the ground during the Civil War. Enslaved people did not wait for white liberators. They saw many of their slaveholders lead to fight, and so they left for freedom. Enslaved people by the hundreds of thousands ran away to Union lines and northern cities to escape their bondage. Their massive migration forced the nation to place the end of slavery on the national political agenda. Man, the things that we went through. We have looked for abolition in all the wrong places. Freedom did not come from the White House or Congress. Black people were not given freedom. They forced freedom to become a national mandate. The Emancipation Proclamation freed the rebelling states. But we should remember that Louisiana, Maryland, Missouri, Tennessee, and West Virginia also decreed abolition on their own. Because the enslaved were escaping from bondage, the nation had no choice. While we can credit Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation formally, it was abolitionist and national leader Frederick Douglass who convinced Lincoln to use freedom as a weapon. Douglass pushed Lincoln to make abolition the heart and core of the war. He persuaded Lincoln to allow black men to fight and serve in the military and to compensate them equally. Unbeknownst to many, Douglass is the real hero behind much of Lincoln's success. Douglass was, as David Blight suggests, American prophet of. He did not only call out American hypocrisy, but also, along with women, clearly saw the path forward. And I can imagine during that time of war, some brothers took it upon themselves to escape, which ain't nothing wrong with that. Because if it was me, yeah, I'd have used that little war, whatever. If I could see some daylight and take flight, yeah, I'm out. Yeah, I'm going too. The 13th Amendment, and that's something else too. I'm gonna touch on that. I'm gonna read what the 13th Amendment is, which originated with the Women's National Loyal League, led by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, was akin to a coroner's report. It marked slavery's official time of death. When the Civil War finally ended, Lincoln admitted, "I claim not to have controlled events, but confess plainly that events have controlled me." That don't even make no sense. You let an event control you, but you're supposed to be the president. Sound like you emotional, man. In the end, Lincoln's real issue was not reuniting the Confederacy with America, nor was it even freeing enslaved people. It was getting white Americans, himself included, to relinquish their alliance to white supremacy. This question remains for every president elected to office. What to do with white people? Make no mistake, white supremacy is a peculiar pathology. It might be a peculiar pathology, but it still stands today. Still is in power today. Still is in power today. And white supremacy has gotten away with more crime, more rape. I mean, white supremacy, they just do what they want to do, when they want to do it, when they want to do it. But when that sky click, y'all hold on to that now, and y'all stay standing up under that banner. Because when Yahweh HaMashiach come back with them thousand upon thousand of angels, y'all gonna wish many a days that y'all didn't do what y'all did. They say perhaps Toni Morrison summed it up best when she asked, "What are you without racism? Are you any good? Are you still strong? Are you still smart? Do you still like yourself?" I mean, these are the questions. The myth of whiteness as supreme is such a fully formed identity in America that neither the North nor the South has been able to renounce their commitment to racial domination. I mean, under that banner, they have dominated all four corners of the earth. It ain't just the North nor the South. They dominated all four corners of the earth up under that banner. They have killed up under that banner. They have raped up under that banner. They have stole, up under that banner, up on the many banners that they have used. And the acts and crimes that they have committed, it don't even make no sense. Yes, and that is racial domination. They say the myth of whiteness as supreme is such a fully formed identity in America that neither the North nor the South has been able to renounce their commitment to racial domination. I mean, why would you renounce it? It's too far gone. It's too far gone. You might as well go on and continue holding on to it. You done did everything under the sun up under that banner, so just keep doing what you do. Or put another way, if everyone were to have equal access to ballot, will white people still be powerful? If interrogation was suited equitably with all deliberate speed, would America still be America? Today's battles over elections and critical race theory in the classroom are a reflection of America's racial conundrum. And as Morrison warned, if you can only be tall because somebody is on their knees, then you have a serious problem. And my feeling is white people have a very, very serious problem. And they should start thinking about what they can do about it. Take me out of it. Black leadership had been pushing for abolition, citizenship, and suffrage all throughout the antebellum period. University of Maryland professor Christopher James Bonner has written about this deeply and eloquently in his award-winning book, Remaking the Republic, Black Politics and the Creation of American Citizenship. Bonner argues, point for point, that enormous influence black people had in defining who belonged in the nation and the terms of that. When it came to the Civil War, black people, again, did much of the work, did all of the work. They did much of it. They ran away from the plantation, escaped the Union lines, and enlisted in the military to fight alongside the Union and against the slave-holding South. More than 250,000 black soldiers turned the tide of the war into victory. Lincoln said as much himself. Moreover, during Lincoln's Reconstruction, something incredible happened. Black Americans went from being enslaved to being elected officials. Black Americans built schools, public health departments, roads, and infrastructures, and charitable institutions for the elderly and mentally ill. They plotted land, created banks, and managed to invest money in their communities. So to hear this right here, this sounds like Wall Street, Black Wall Street. This sounds like Black Wall Street. They plotted land, created banks, and managed to invest money in their communities. The issue is not black people's capacity to survive and succeed. It is white people's ability to accept black humanity and forfeit the myth of their supremacy. Context and scope are everything. Where historians or textbooks start a story is political. What is included and what is forgotten, what is centered and what is marginalized matters a great deal. One cannot teach Lincoln without Douglass. One cannot teach the Civil War without slavery. One cannot talk about freedom without talking about the grip of bondage. The history of America is often about social and political change followed by backlash. That was certainly true in Lincoln's era. And the decades that followed, the racial of 2020 is being eclipsed by an effort to censor educators and ban books, and by a frantic movement to suppress the history of slavery and racism in America. Y'all gonna ban books. So by you banning books, you really keeping that out the hands of the so-called blacks, Hispanic, and Native American Indians. But we got YouTube now. So, but yet, you have television and you have so much going on in society till by you banning the books, you're not even talking about the things that is of slavery and what went on and the things that happened with slavery. So you know you ain't gonna talk to your kids about that, but you know, so-called white America, you will teach your kids hate. You will teach them the things that bestow that in them. And you just make it seem like everybody is equal when it's not that, because you got to look at the killing that is still going on. You got to look at it's still in 23. I want to say it was either sometime this year, or last year. Still a brother got hung. A brother has gotten hung. So by you throwing away books and this and that and the third, you still not throwing away what's being done to our peoples. You still not being, it's nothing not being thrown away. You know, you're not throwing away your hatred. You're not throwing away the abortion clinics. You're not throwing away nothing of the sort. You was not throwing away nothing. So by you throwing away books and saying that you're trying to erase racism, no, because it's still going on today. It is still going on today. You still had the Ku Klux Klan. You still got skinheads. You still got cops that are killing so-called black men, so-called Hispanic men, so-called Native American men. So what are y'all really doing? Y'all ain't throwing away nothing. You was not. They say we can turn on the lights, look under beds, and open closet doors, but the real boogeyman is not the critical race theory. It's white supremacy. And that is so true. That is true. You know, Lincoln did not do away with slavery. He did not. He did not. Like I said, it went from Emancipation Proclamation to the 13th Amendment. Slavery went from the field to prison yards. Emancipation Proclamation went from Emancipation Proclamation to the 13th Amendment. And so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, man, woman, and child, you will celebrate Juneteenth, not knowing the history behind that. Like I said, celebrating that is equivalent to celebrating the 4th of July. 4th of July, you know, because we as so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, man and woman, we still in slavery. We still in slavery. And slavery still exists. That ain't no different than you being in the oppressor army and his military. You know, that's a form of slavery. It's just done in an orderly fashion. That's a form of slavery. But you know, it was said that freedom finally came on June 19, 1865, when some 2,000 Union troops arrived at Galveston Bay, Texas. The Army announced that more than The Army announced that more than 250,000 enslaved Black people in the state were free by executive decree. This day came to be known as Juneteenth by the newly freed people in Texas. I mean, it's probably was that for a moment. You know, probably felt that for a moment, but these oppressors, the devil that the Bible speaks of, they came up with a whole new format. They came up with a whole new format to come and get us. So now when they was writing their constitution, you know, they had in there one of the constitutions that they wrote, you know, like the 13th Amendment, set aside from, you know, like the 5th Amendment, when they said that so-called black man is like three-fifths of a man. That's almost putting us on the same level as a dog. But we don't want to research nothing. We don't want to. We don't want to research nothing. But I'm gonna touch bases on the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States, any place subject to their jurisdiction. So anything subject to this jurisdiction, that would be like you getting extradited. But it would be not so much you getting extradited, but any state that has ties with America. And that state can hold you until America comes and gets you. Because say if you committed a crime over here in America and you flee to another country that has ties to America, place that has ties with America is subject to the jurisdiction that is over here in America. So if you were to get caught in another country and you committed a crime in America, America can come and bring you back to America for you to be tried for the crime that you committed in America. But that 13th Amendment, like I said, talks that Juneteenth it rolls over from the Emancipation Proclamation to the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment. But you know, Abraham Lincoln did not free all slaves. He did not free all slaves. He didn't even free. He just made that because he wanted to keep that little Confederate army going on. So he said that the Emancipation Proclamation to get the so-called blacks, Hispanic, Native American Indians to go and fight so that he can maintain this little army that he had them put together. So for a man to feel any type of freedom, he going to fight. And this is where that Stockholm Syndrome come in at, because for the ones that no matter how bad your slave master treats you, you still gonna find a way to love him. And a lot of them went and fought, but a lot of it too. But like I said, Abraham Lincoln did not free all slaves within the United States. It declared free only those slaves living in states under Union control. So for the states that had control, what he did, you know, he tried his hand. But by him doing that, he knew what he was doing. But this is what the Most High said about him and other devils. When you look at Psalms 55, verse 21, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. Because he was trying to preserve this little army he put together, this army that he was. And it says that his words were softer than oil. Hey, y'all free. And, you know, he come out with some word of Emancipation Proclamation, knowing that our brothers and sisters really didn't have, you know, knowledge to really say, yo, okay, I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna find out what this means. You know, to keep from being oppressed. Yeah, let me. Oh, this what he want me to do? Okay, I'll go do that. But we as slaves, Salaka Israel. They said, but we as slaves, we went from the fields to the prison yard through Abraham Lincoln Emancipation Proclamation. And from going fields to prison yards, we still in bondage, still in slavery. Still to this day. But this is what the Most High said. And the Most High said in Exodus 21, verse 16, and he that stealeth a man, yes, these oppressors, the devil that the Bible speaks of, stole a whole nation. stole a whole nation. I'm talking about the nation of Israel. And sell it to him. Yes, we were sold. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68 to tell you that we were sold unto our enemies. If he be found in his hand, we are still in their hands. We are still in their hands upon the land which they call America. If you don't believe that we are still in their hands, every so-called black man and Native American, man, woman, and child got a cousin that is incarcerated. And who run these penitentiaries? Who run these jails? Who own them? So we still in their hands. We still in their hands. I don't care you try to deny whatever, we still in their hands. But this is what the Most High said. For us being found in their hands, he should surely be put to death. He should surely be put to death. It said that even today, on the first jail and prison that have enslaved God's chosen people, and they have enslaved us for cheap labor to build up their kingdom, not ours. But ours, we coming. But that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother class. But this is what the Most High said. When you look at Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 12. Woe to him. Woe means destruction, death. And the him is the oppressor, the devil. This is the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood. A lot of our brothers, even down to our sisters, so-called blacks, Hispanic, Native American, have died with their blood building these kingdoms. Woe to him that buildeth a town and established a city by iniquity. Every city across America had been built by the Most High God's chosen people. I'm gonna read that again. That I love the sound of that. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and established a city by iniquity. But under the 13th Amendment, this has happened to our peoples and is still happening. Under the 13th Amendment, this is still going on. This is still going on to God's chosen people. And this ain't happening to everybody. This is only happening to God's chosen people, so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American, man and woman. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah. So when it talks about the children of Israel and the children of Judah, this is talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. They were oppressed together
were oppressed. Ain't no other nation being oppressed. Nothing but Israel. And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. You had brothers that was being released when they came out with this DNA. Brothers that were sitting in prison for over 30 some years for crimes that they did not commit. That right there, hard to explain. That's hard to explain, but no, it ain't hard to explain. Not when you're dealing with the devil. Not when you're dealing with the devil. That's not hard to explain. These people are wicked. Because when you look at Job 9:24, Most High God said the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So if the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, they control every move at the face of the earth. So they had control of locking our peoples up like that. I'm going to give you a precept. Isaiah 44 verse 22. He said, well, this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them foes, and they are all prison houses. For a prey, and none delivered. For a spoil, and none sell. You know, the ones that put them in the prison ain't gonna restore them. No, they can care less about that. I mean, really, they can care less. But for our brothers that are in slavery under the devil, the oppressor, 13th Amendment, the words of comfort from the Most High, God. When you look at Luke chapter 4, verse 18, and these right here words are in red. So this let you know that it's from Yahweh Shah, who y'all know Jesus, who y'all know as Christ. It said, the Spirit of the Most High is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, recovery of the sight to the blind, to set at liberty to them that are bruised. You know, it was a comma at the word captives. I could have said, but you know, it says in recovering of sight to the blind. Because you know, for our brothers and sisters that are incarcerated, they think that they'll never see daylight. They think that they'll never see themselves being released. But the Most High gonna release them. The Most High gonna release them. It said that to set at liberty to them that are bruised, to set freedom. To set freedom. Because being locked up is being bruised. Is being bruised. I'm talking about, and that's a mental bruise. So I have a precept to this. Isaiah 61. Verse 1 through. The Spirit of the Most High God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. Verse, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Most High, and the day of vengeance of our Most High God, to comfort all that mourn. So y'all gonna be released. Y'all gonna be released. Just can't never give up. Just can't never give up. And here's one last precept. Acts chapter 10. Acts chapter 10, verse 38. How the Most High God anointed Jesus of Nazareth, Yahushua, with the Holy Spirit and with power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the devil. For the Most High God was with him. Powerful. That right there lets you know that no matter what you're going through, even in the midst of this June 19th, and how it was transformed from what was called Emancipation Proclamation, meaning that it went from the field to the prison yard. It was just another form of slavery. They just shifted from one place to another. Because the so-called white man, his words is smoother than butter. He'll tell you a lie without blinking. Have you thinking that this is this, knowing that he has another alternative. Another motive. Well, his day is coming, because he's going to get the reward of his hand. And there's nothing he can do. He got to accept his fate. But like it says in Revelation 13, 9 and 10, it said, he that have an ear, let him hear. Verse 10, it said, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And he that killeth with the sword shall be killed with the sword. And this is the faith and the patience of the saints. And the saints of the Most High is none other than the Israelites. But for y'all leading us in slavery, however you want to put it, y'all going into slavery. Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. So we not going to coat nothing. We're not going to say, yo, it's this, it's that. No, you going into slavery. You're going into chains. Most High willing, my slaves, I better not ever catch you standing up on your feet. I better not ever catch you standing up on your feet. I'm going to make it so you ain't going to never have to worry about your feet no more. You're going to be on your hands and knees, like how you first began in the Caucasus Mountains. People like to say history like to repeat itself. Yeah. How we found y'all, that's how I'm going to send you back. I'm going to send you back. Just like how you was found. But with that being said, I'm going to give a salute to the brothers. Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shabbarakathon. To the sisters, Yahweh Shamar, El Atham, Bahashem Yahweh Shah. Class dismissed.